Welcome back to another episode of the KarterKast. I'm your host, Karter Baughan. On today's show, college football Week 9 preview. We have a great show for you today. We recap the Texas-Georgia game, the Bama-Tennessee game, where we were right and where we were wrong. And then we also discuss, is anybody elite in college football right now? We also touch on undefeated teams. Are they frauds? Are they for real? The BYUs of the world, the Iowa States of the world, Pitts, other teams like that. We discuss who's real, who's not, and we touch on some gains in the college football Week 9 slate. And we have a parlay at the very end, as always. Make sure to download SeatGeek, use code KarterKast, $20 off your first purchase. Let's get into the show today. We're live. Connor and Dylan, we're here. College football. I guess this is a half recap, half preview. Week 9 preview. The Week 9 slate's kind of meh this week, but we had an electric Week 8. Dylan, we did not do very well on our picks this week, though.
Now, you say that. You say we didn't do very well, but I want to do an exercise real quick. Ben's not here. Obviously, he got married Saturday. Crazy behavior. I also want to shout out you, Carter. There's a picture circulating online.
Yep.
No one can ever tell Karter Baughan that he does not watch the games, because I saw an Instagram story of Karter and Justine. So Justine watches ball too, locked into that TV during the wedding. I say all of this because I want to do an exercise. All right, you two, Ben. Spoiler alert: Ben didn't do this either. Can you raise your hand if you hit your college football parlay pick? Anybody?
What was my pick?
You did.
Arkansas.
Yeah, you did
terrible.
not. Connor, you did not. Florida State plus 3.5. And Ben did not.
I got hosed. On that, the Friday night game. I was on the right side. Duke had like 50 yards of offense at halftime.
Oh, if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. Isn't that right,
Okay.
Connor? Oh, wow, wow.
Yep. Close
So
to
you
some
say
horseshoes.
Dylan had a bad weekend, but I want everybody to know, just remember, I am the only one that hit the parlay pick, Georgia, Texas under. Go big game hunting. You get big games. What can I say?
But we also may or may not have had Texas by 3.5. We might have had Alabama by 2.5. We might have had Michigan by 3.5. And all of those were big old fat losers.
That was bad. Got murdered.
And I want to say this for all the commenters right now. Look, I'm not going through the comments. I don't have time. I don't feel like it. I'll just address them all in one thing. This is my Gettysburg Address.
Ooh, okay.
I was wrong.
Okay. And
I don't know if I'll ever put this headset on again.
So
Nick Castellanos out to let you know.
So, Carter, you're wrong, right? We are wrong. We were wrong about a lot of things.
For sure.
What's the next move? Do we delete the podcast, or do we
some
just keep chugging along?
So some are saying we should cancel the podcast. Game Day also all picked Texas and said, you guys are dumb. You guys should cancel the podcast. I said, so should Game Day be canceled?
Well, didn't you
Cancel
hear?
Game Day?
They're going off the air because of that.
Yeah.
They came for him.
Because Bulldog69 on Twitter said that.
You beat me to it.
Yeah, Bulldog69 on Twitter said, y'all don't know ball. Y'all got to get a new show. Y'all should be canceled. And,
But this is an opportunity for Connor to take a victory lap here, because he got one right that we did not.
I sure did. It was the most scared I've ever been to come out and make a pick like that. But Tennessee, I'm sure we'll dive into the recap in a little bit. I was wrong about a couple things, but Tennessee ran the ball down that Bama defense's throat. Dylan Sampson had himself a game even after the fumble, just absolutely dominated that defensive front. And, to address the commenters, what it makes it even worse is the people that want to take it upon themselves to come in our DMs. Not even just leave a comment. Just click on our page, click message, and be like, hey, you guys should delete your podcast. Your picks for the Georgia-Texas game were way off. Thanks? Like, you took 3 minutes out of your day to actually DM our show?
But I did respond. I did respond
What'd
to
you
the
say?
DMs.
What'd you say?
I said, well, Game Day all picked Texas. Should Game Day be canceled?
Connor, how do you know about DMs? I didn't know about DMs.
On Instagram.
I personally got
I'm
DMs.
logged into the gram.
Yeah, Instagram, the Instagram account.
And
Yeah,
did they
those
get the brunt of it? I saw that our score predictions did like 150K, and they only did like 20K everywhere else.
Yeah, not good.
The meanest of people are on Instagram.
I was hoping we choose the best comments and then they come on and host the show. We'll see how they do when the red light's on in front of a camera.
That's what they want, though. They want that.
Yeah,
They'll
true,
say, "Oh,
true.
your show sucks." Everybody make podcasts. I'm voting for the presidential candidate that makes podcasting equipment more expensive. And then 10 minutes later, you'll respond to them and say, "Hey, bro, have me on your pod so I can tell you what's up, buddy." You know it's cheap. You're making comments about it. Go do it yourself.
We now welcome on Ryan Day Lover 69 to the KarterKast. Thank you.
Hey guys.
There he is.
Great open.
Great open talking
Cold
about
open.
the comments. But yeah, I do want it out there. Like, I was wrong about the picks. I'm not hiding from it, but I'm not going to sit there and reply to some dude calling me the R word left and right and just like, okay, man, yeah, I was wrong. I got to. Hey, Bulldog 69. I bet you had Georgia beating Alabama, didn't you?
If we were perfect, we wouldn't be doing our own podcast. We'd be hired by a sports book or somewhere if we got every single game right.
Or probably excommunicated by a sports book.
I was going to say, I know a lot of smart people that should not be having shows because they are boring as crap. We've talked about all this.
We have talked about this.
But anyhow, let's talk about the Texas-Georgia game. Texas-Georgia. Georgia wins 30-15 in Austin. I'll be honest. I came away from that game. I was disappointed in Texas. I wasn't that thoroughly impressed with Georgia coming away from that game. Carson Beck didn't light it up by any means. The run game was solid, don't get me wrong. The defense got the job done. But I don't think anything more was told to me about Georgia. Yes, winning on the road's big. That's the biggest win of the year so far. But also, I felt like this was more of an indictment on Quinn Ewers, his potential injury, what's going on there, and does Texas actually have the weapons to go against elite defenses?
Posing a question, we're giving Quinn Ewers the benefit of the doubt about his injury, right? Are we sure his performance last week, sure. Are we sure his performance this past week was injury related?
No, I'm not.
Can we entertain
sure.
a possibility where Quinn Ewers is not this great quarterback?
I think you can entertain that possibility, but I think he's injured. He had a rare shoulder injury, and it feels like they rushed him back a little too soon. And all of a sudden, you saw him come out of halftime. He looked dead in the water, couldn't complete a pass in the first half. First drive right out of halftime, all of a sudden he's completing these deep passes, and everything looks accurate. I think the horse pill just wore off halfway through the third quarter. Whatever Mahomes has been getting during these half times where he has a high ankle sprain and all of a sudden he's fine, I think Quinn Ewers got that same drug at halftime.
Why not give him another? Once you see it wear off, like, Quinn, we're taking you out back.
Can you take a shot on the sideline?
Go to the locker room.
How about some side effects?
Say
what's the long-term effects?
What are the long-term effects?
What's the dosage?
First thing you know, he's wearing a Guardian cap.
The reason I think this is an injury, though, is because Quinn Ewers is better than this. We know who he is. We saw this all last season, even at the beginning of this year. And then after this injury, especially the Oklahoma game was a big, big concern, and we talked about it on here. And that kind of furthered my thoughts against Georgia this week. But Dylan, you think it's just he stinks.
No, he doesn't stink. So here's what I will say. One of my, I was really beating myself up over this weekend. I need you guys, when I make a claim, when I make a statement, please don't let me rescind it, no matter how much public pressure I get, because I was right about Texas. When I released that apology video and I said Michigan's a really bad team, and all the Texas fans were all up in arms because, oh, this isn't a real apology. What are you talking about? You're not giving Texas any credit. I said, what do you want me to apologize for? If I was apologizing every time I was wrong, First Take wouldn't even be a show. It'd be 30 minutes of apologies every morning. And I rescinded that take. I rescinded the Quinn Ewers 14th, 15th best. I go on the Ghost of Texas show. I take all of it back. And I was sitting there watching this game, and I was like, why? Why did I even take any of this back? Because it all kind of proved to be right. Who has Texas played? And their first test, they lose by 15 in a game that looked a lot worse than 15 points. Not to mention, you talked about Carson Beck not lighting it up. Listen, I don't know if I can say this given the context. I think it's acceptable. Beck did the opposite of light it up. 3 interceptions, and Georgia still won this game by 2 possessions. Now, I'm going to choose. The question I like to ask is, taking a result from a game. All right, we said Ohio State, Oregon, right? Who do you leave this game feeling better about? who do you leave this game feeling worse about? Oddly enough, I left this game feeling worse about both of these teams.
That was my number one note. I said I feel worse about Quinn Ewers, and I feel about the same about Carson Beck, because all my affirmations about him against Alabama were confirmed. Like what we saw against Bama in that first half is what we saw in this game. He didn't come out, like you said, did not light it up. That Georgia defense is the story of this game, in my opinion. I think the Georgia defense is the story of the game. Texas was 2 for 15 on third downs, 1 for 5 on fourth downs. Georgia finished with 7 sacks, 3 fumble recoveries, and dominated that side of the ball. Yes, you can talk about Quinn Ewers' injury, and I'm willing to concede a little bit to that, but I'm also willing to concede that this is the best defense he's played so far.
For sure. And also, another point to this
better
game.
Than Michigan's defense.
Yes, better than Michigan's 100%.
No.
Yes, 100%. The other thing is, I think this was the most alarming thing in this game besides, I think Quinn Ewers is injured. I think he's 60% of what he is, but that's besides the point. This was a concern coming into this season, and it was glaring in this game. Texas's running back room is bad. It's like watching the Dallas Cowboys right now.
If only someone would have said that before.
Well, we did, and Dylan, well, you know what? They still beat Michigan, that elite defense.
Did they play Michigan this week? Are we doing a week 2 recap? Or
you played Michigan with a different quarterback, so it doesn't count.
Can I piggyback off the running back comment? Texas only had 29 rush yards, and that is extremely alarming for this offensive line. That, you know, their pass blocking is pretty good. You look at their rush blocking from this game. Their left tackle had the highest rush block grade by 20 points. So obviously Texas was going to play to that strength and run it through the left tackle, right? They ran it to the left tackle 3 times this game. 3 out of 19 rush attempts they ran to the left tackle. Huge problem there. Sark, I don't want to say malpractice coaching, but when you can see that your left tackle is having so much success run blocking and you only choose to go there, quick math, 17.3% of the time, that's a problem. They could not run the ball.
And we talked about that before this game, is sometimes in these big moments, Sarkisian gets way too cute. We saw a prime example against Oklahoma last year, and we saw it again against Washington. That is when they get burned, is when Sark goes, no, we're going to run trick plays, and no, they think we're going to run to the left, we're going to run to the right. And he overthinks it almost, and that was the biggest problem in this game, Connor.
And also, I do want to touch on the rushing yard stat. It's a little skewed because Quinn Ewers did take, 5 sacks for minus 34 yards. That does play into the rushing yards number. Like, Texas' starting running back had 50 yards on the ground. That doesn't change the fact their running back room is a sore spot for this team, 100%. The other point I wanted to bring up to you guys, I wanted to pose this. How do you guys feel about how they handled the, let's bring in Arch Manning for the last 2 drives of the second half, and then to start the second half, we're going to bring back in Ewers. I think that was the worst thing they could have done. I think once you bring in Arch Manning, I think you roll with him the rest of the way. Once you make that decision, you roll with him the rest of the way. I could not believe Quinn Ewers came back out for the second half. But asterisk on that, I think they put Manning in too early anyways. So I think they just mismanaged that whole situation.
If Carter's right, if Carter's right and this was purely injury, then I could understand putting Arch in to finish the half and then being like, okay, we can get Quinn something.
But it didn't seem like
better.
that.
That's true. I don't think I'm necessarily prescribing to that belief. But if what Carter's saying is true, that's where this situation makes sense.
I think it was injury related. Otherwise, that's a crazy move to pull off. If you're
sitting
sitting
against Georgia,
they haven't come out and said anything. Usually at this point, they're like, Quinn was injured. That, maybe not giving an excuse, but this is what happened. Nobody said anything.
And you can't throw a guy like Arch to the wolves like that. I understand he's played against Mississippi State, UL Monroe, and Ball Sack State or whatever, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you cannot throw a guy to the wolves like that, especially against Georgia, because I'll tell you what, I guarantee you Arch wasn't taking first team reps this week and wasn't preparing. He's probably playing scout team quarterback all week and wasn't preparing to play in this game. And you get thrown into the second quarter when you're already down double digits and this defense is swarming, the offensive line's banged up, and the running back has no success on the ground. He was put in an impossible situation. So if it wasn't injury related, that is a bad sign. That was a total mismanaged situation. But also, I'll say this, I'm not worried about Texas going forward. I think it's something to note, but I think both of these teams are going to be in the conversation when it's all said and done.
But it's scary because this is head and shoulders the best teams Texas has played, and they had a stinker.
For sure, and I just still believe in the talent of this Texas team, and I
That's fair.
fully subscribe to the belief that Quinn Ewers is injured. But the scary part about that is, what if they just keep playing him at 60%? Then this team becomes a 8-4, 9-3 type team. Eventually, is the injury so bad where they can pull Arch, or is it just in that gray area where he's banged up, but you got to keep him in because it's his last year. You want to give him some film for the NFL draft. It almost becomes to a point where, what point would it be better for him to sit out and heal before the NFL draft?
Look what I've done so far, and let me not taint my stock anymore by playing injured. And is an 85% Quinn Ewers better than 100% Arch Manning at this stage? That's the question you got to ask yourself if he actually is hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll find out. But, yeah, let's talk about Tennessee, Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Connor.
So I was wrong about the time of possession. That was one of my points. I was like, Tennessee can dominate time of possession. That didn't happen. Bama won that. Doesn't matter. I still predicted that Dylan Sampson and this Tennessee offense would run all over the Bama defense, and that's what they did. 26 carries, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had that early fumble. Didn't affect him one bit. I was glad to see that. They kept feeding him the ball. They kept confidence in him. Another point, Jalen Milroe was bad in this game. He was just bad. You can look at the numbers. It doesn't seem awful. I think, what do you go? 25 for 45, 239 yards, touchdown, 2 picks, had a fumble that they actually got back. He was bad. If you watch the game, he was missing throws, throwing the ball behind his receivers, consistently guys that were at the first down marker, 8, 10, 12 yards in front of him. He was throwing it behind him. That last pick to lose the game was behind his receiver. I don't know how else to describe it. Jalen Milroe people are saying he's like QB1 in this NFL upcoming class. No shot. There's not an elite quarterback in this draft class. Sure, there's nothing crazy. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, yeah, maybe. Milroe's not QB1, not even close to QB1 in a weaker class.
He is nowhere near Cam Ward.
But that's what people were talking about after Bama beat Georgia. It's like Milroe's #1 pick this year. No, he was shot.
But the thing is, I don't blame people in that spot because he was so freaking good in that game. He was so freaking good.
You gotta trust what you've seen, though.
Yeah, and then we've seen it the last 3 weeks, Vandy, South Carolina, and in this Tennessee game, he was just bad. And I'll tell you what, Ryan Williams makes him look like a serviceable quarterback because if he didn't have an elite receiver like him, these throws are just not catchable. He was making incredible plays catching behind him constantly in this game for first downs. Otherwise, I bet Milroe throws 25% in this game. It was pitiful. And
they were 3 for 14 on third down.
And but the other thing is we're crapping on Milroe right now. This has got to be a credit to Tennessee's defense. They are no freaking joke, man. We talked about Texas maybe being the best defense, but we obviously saw that they've gone against some of the worst offenses in the country. It might just be Tennessee might be the best defense in the country.
It's really hard not to actually believe that claim, right? And you look at this game, the biggest thing, we're going to get to the end of the year, and I'm still not going to know who Nico is. Every week I say I want to see Nico.
He's young enough to where it's okay.
Sure.
That's okay not to know him this year. Yeah.
And even if we can still give him the benefit of the doubt, but looking at his stat line, 194, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, he still hasn't had to put the team on his back in a big spot. And a lot of that is because the defense. It is because of the run game. They doubled Alabama's yards per carry. This is something that even though we were on different sides of this game, Tennessee fans, you're welcome. I knew what I was doing. Even though we were on different sides of this game, we all agreed that Tennessee's running back room was so much better. Dylan Sampson was so much better.
Best back they played by far.
By far. And my main points here were I'm still not confident in Nico. The next time they have a big game, I think they play Georgia, it's going to be, can Nico put the team on the back when it matters? And we'll probably still leave that game not having an answer to that question. The offensive line, man. You had one offensive lineman in the top 5 in pass block grading. Your top run blocker was a slot wide receiver. The defense was the difference. And if Tennessee wants to be a real, legitimate national title contender, you just need a little bit better play on the offensive line. Just a little bit. And then they're up there in that top tier.
Is it possible that we came out of this week in these 2 huge games feeling worse about all 4 quarterbacks? Because I think that's a real possibility.
For sure.
I don't know. I don't think I felt worse about Nico.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think
it's
after
still
Arkansas,
a question mark.
I think Arkansas was the final one where I'm like, okay, this Nico guy, maybe he'll show up. It is a year early, and it's so frustrating. It must be so frustrating as a Tennessee fan because you watch Nico and you see it. You just see he's got it, but then it's just, he overthrows a guy by a foot. He just constantly overthrows. And But you can just dial it back just a tad. This guy's talked about as a top 3 quarterback in the country.
And Tennessee's wide receiver core, all-time name core, but not good at football.
Average.
Like
Definition of average.
Brew McCoy is an all-time name. Squirrel White, all-time name. Average wide receiver room. It's not like the Cedric Tillman years, like 2021 or whatever. But yeah, Tennessee out of these 4 games though, 2 games, 4 teams, biggest winner in my opinion.
I think so too, because Georgia and Carson Beck didn't really answer a ton of questions on offense. Yes, it was Texas's defense, but Carson Beck didn't come out and light it up.
Yeah, and also it felt like Tennessee, Alabama, the loser of this game, was almost a loser leaves town for the college football playoff a little bit, because I felt like whichever team lost this game, they essentially had to win out the rest of the season to make the college football playoff, and I don't think either of these teams will win out going forward.
Bama's got Missouri, LSU, Mercer, Oklahoma, and Auburn. I think there's one loss in there, and I think it might be LSU.
It might be Auburn.
That would be hilarious.
An interim coach.
It won't be Missouri. Spoiler, will not be Missouri.
No, Missouri stinks. Brady Cook
I
can't.
don't know.
No.
I don't know. It would not shock me. It would not shock me.
You could say anything at this point, because they lost as a 22-point favorite to Vandy and almost lost again as a 22-point favorite against South Carolina. So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they lost. Oklahoma, I'd be shocked.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd be shocked there. Mercer, I'd be shocked.
Mercer,
I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked.
I don't know. James Smith, he's not bad at quarterback at Mercer.
James Smith.
There you go.
I couldn't have picked an easier fake name. I should have just been like
John Doe.
No, that's I should have done better. Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, good one. This is college show. No, there's no crossover between NFL and college.
No,
they wouldn't know.
Absolutely not. But yeah, this is big for Tennessee. The other question I wanted to pose before we move on is: anybody elite in college football this year?
What is your definition of the word elite? Like unbeatable, like kind of like that tier where like Georgia's been for the last few years?
Yes.
No, nobody's on that level.
Nobody. Not even close.
Nobody. No, not even close. And, you know, Dylan's going to say Oregon. And as much of a believer in Oregon as I was preseason, I still think they're beatable. They're very beatable.
A 3-point win at home against Boise State. You almost lost to Will Howard. If Jeremiah Smith doesn't have an OPI, you lose to Ohio State at home.
That's how that game went. I'm not doing this show again, Carter. We're not doing this. You. I know what you did. You gathered up with Connor beforehand. Oh, I'm really going to make Dylan mad today on the show. I'm not doing this bit.
I did not.
We recorded
NBA.
You know
that wasn't a 1-point game.
We recorded NBA.
He was like, "Watch this."
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, you talk about an elite team, and I'm the one that comes on here like with I think it was Georgia, Alabama, and I say we as sports fans just act like teams at the top are unbeatable. We've done it with Georgia for years, and I kind of pushed back on that narrative, and I think you can kind of say more of the same this year. It's like, is there an elite team? No, but I have Oregon in tier 1, tier 1A. Everybody else just kind of falls in line. Like, I would say Penn State beats Ohio State. Throw them in the tier. So it's like, do we have an elite team? No. But there are tiers starting to sort itself out. It just so happens tier 1B/tier 2 is just a lot of teams jumbled up.
That's fair. And that's been our point. I think we've been saying the same thing. Also, the point about Oregon, we discussed their schedule going into the season, how they have a very favorable Big Ten schedule and they don't really have to play many tough games besides home to Ohio State. Their road games are atrociously bad. They are horrific. You go through this right now at Oregon State, at UCLA, at Purdue, at Michigan, at Wisconsin. Those are all easy games. I mean, easy. And you look at their other games, the remaining schedule, I don't see a world other than maybe if Washington pulls off something crazy, they don't go undefeated. Illinois, Michigan, Maryland, Wisconsin, Washington.
No, I'm with you.
Those are all double-digit spreads, probably 15-point spreads.
And as much as I love Oregon, they're going to go undefeated. They're going to lose in the Big Ten title game. I genuinely believe that. If it's a rematch with Ohio State, I think they split.
And obviously, like, I don't want to discredit Oregon. They've been awesome. They've won every game. They've done what they had to do. This is not a hate on Oregon. This is just, I want to see Oregon win a big game on the road or at a neutral site, because it has been very favorable for them being able to play in Eugene. You know, Boise State, I know moving the goalposts, but
keep moving them, baby.
Game. It's not their fault that they don't have that game on the schedule. No,
and it's not. I'm not saying it's their fault by any means, but let's see that Big Ten title game. And yes, they're a national title contender and everything right now. I'm still not going to pick them, though, because I still don't believe in that Oregon defense.
For me, real quick, Dylan, it's how it looks. If you watch these games, in years past, Georgia has not looked very vulnerable. That's why we've put them on that pedestal, that elite tier, where it's like, I'd be shocked if they lost to any team in the country. Oregon has at least looked vulnerable this year. We've seen the path to beating them, and yes, they're better now than they were when they played Idaho and Boise State and whatever, but they've at least looked vulnerable. If on the field watching the games, they don't look as elite as some of these teams have in the last few years of college football.
What's the path to beating them?
Being able to run the ball all over them.
It's interesting. Okay. All right.
Okay. What?
I'm just taking notes. You got to run the ball. You got to run the ball over them, but then you get running back that's making a couple $1 million just to come to Ohio State, has just over 2 yards per rush, but running the ball all over them is the key.
That's more. He hasn't been good this year than like an Oregon's run defense is awesome.
The goalpost, yeah.
That's okay.
I've got Oregon futures. I've got Dylan Gabriel to win the Heisman. I've got Oregon to win the Big Ten. I'm in. But I'm just saying, if it comes down to a college football playoff game or them winning the national title, I almost feel better about some of these one-loss teams.
Who?
Georgia, Texas.
Is that it?
I do too.
Yeah,
I think that's probably it.
That's probably it.
Ohio State
not Bama,
neutral
not
field.
Tennessee. Ohio State's beatable too.
Give me Ohio State neutral field. Ohio State's favored on a neutral field.
No, they won't be favored.
100,000% they're favored.
No. I think they would.
No.
100. They were favored in Eugene. Of course, they would be a 3.5, 4 point favorite on a neutral field.
Yeah, I forgot the spreads from week 5. Copy and paste to the Big Ten championship 7 weeks later. I forgot about that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You're right. You're right.
No. I'm saying right now, if they played, it would be Ohio State favored on a neutral field.
I think it would too.
I don't think it would.
Yes, it 1,000% would. We have to get people at FanDuel to give us that line.
A hypothetical line.
Yes.
We have connections. We have to.
We can get
somebody.
this done.
Give me Colin a favor.
Someone in action. Get Colin Wilson on it.
Yeah, we'll have to get someone in on that. But yeah,
if you want to talk about elite teams, I don't know if you have any more on Oregon. I was going to bring up Miami.
I was going to bring up Miami just now too. The defense is going to get exposed.
Well, that's the thing. They're frisky. They lead the NCAA in yards per play and yards per game. Defense has been okay. 22nd in opponent yards per game, 39th opponent yards per play. They haven't played anybody. And as a Miami Cam Ward truther and believer, if they went up against any of these SEC teams with one loss, or an Oregon or an Ohio State, they would get smoked.
I want to see. I think Oregon would still probably win this ball game, but I would love to see Oregon versus Miami, and I think the total of that game might be 91. Miami's the funnest team to watch in college football right now.
It is, because they give up 100 points and then score 110.
It is the most electric football. It's not even Pac-12. It's beyond whatever the Pac-12 was. This is the craziest stuff. You watch, I stepped out. I went to go grab something to eat, and I came back during the Louisville-Miami game. I came back. I missed 25 minutes of the game. 25 real minutes, not game minutes. 25 minutes. All of a sudden, I missed 4 touchdowns.
It's like the MAC.
It's not even the MAC. This is the craziest thing we've seen. Eventually, they are going to get burned. And honestly, it's probably going to happen against Clemson in the ACC title game.
That's the thing. They won't play a ranked team all year until the ACC title game.
Because the interesting part about the ACC is SMU, much better than we thought. Clemson, Miami, they can all go undefeated in the ACC. They don't play each other.
Yeah.
And I think they all go undefeated. I don't think any of them lose.
So, Dylan, you're a big proponent of win your games. Miami's not in that 1A tier for you, are they?
The criteria has changed. The criteria for the rankings has changed.
Fluid.
It's always a fluid situation, and it's always. I think we have some people that might hate watching this show that will like the rankings. They will like the rankings this week.
Oh boy!
I think we have a team making their debut.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Talking about elite teams still. Penn State. Anybody? 6-0. Or just think they're a one-win college football playoff team at best.
Here's what impresses me about Penn State. the Illinois win is looking better and better. And
But
yeah, I hear you there.
USC wins looking a little worse.
That's okay, fair. That's the next point I was going to make. But I will give a team credit for traveling across the country 3 time zones and winning a game. I think that's a lot tougher than people are making it out to be. And I understand it was gritty. It took some trickery on Penn State side. But to go to, I was about to say South Carolina, to go to Southern California and get that win, I think that's huge. And that's something we're going to see, I think, at the beginning of this Big Ten change, as teams are going to struggle going 2 or 3 time zones over. And to me, that holds a lot of stock. Now,
we see USC.
And this is all in 2 weeks. They play Ohio State. We'll get some answers, right? But right now, I would say Penn State, maybe not 1A, but with a win against Ohio State, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But
Iowa State?
Maybe. I mean, I guess they have to be. If they beat Ohio State, I don't see them winning that game, though.
I think they get boat raced by Ohio State.
Yes.
I do.
Yes. Keep drinking the Kool-Aid, boys.
Keep drinking
It's
the Kool-Aid.
not even drinking the Kool-Aid. It's just me being hesitant with Penn State more so than bullish on Ohio State.
$20 million roster.
Is it weird how many people are kind of sneaky bullish and sneaky in love with LSU? I know they keep winning football games. I still will not believe in this team.
I think Nussmeier's better than what people give him credit for.
He's better than what I gave him credit for coming into the year. I'll give him that. I was so low on him.
He was better than what we gave him credit for a little bit. I think the biggest thing is, man, this defense is night and day compared to last year. The new defensive staff, it is a complete different team this year. Now we'll see what happens when they go against the big dogs of the SEC rather than Ole Miss, but we'll find out.
So we've talked about all the top 10 teams except for one, Iowa State, undefeated. Dylan, you just mentioned them.
What about number 11?
Do we put any stock into Ohio State or Iowa State or undefeated BYU as well? Either of those teams going to make any noise?
Someone's got to win the Big 12.
You win the games in front of you. BYU might be the team of destiny, and I'm not even saying that as a joke. The way they win some of these games.
They played nobody for the rest of the year.
Nobody.
Oh, I thought you were. What about Utah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're not good.
Guys, we need to have an I'm recording from BYU right now as we speak. We need to have an honesty hour right now, okay?
Okay.
2 things. 1, BYU is this year's Washington. No, I don't think they're going to make the national title game. But if you look at every statistical point of view, every power rating, everything will tell you this BYU team's the luckiest team in football right now. And I 100% agree. There's a reason Vegas doesn't respect this team. They're a -1.5 favorite against a backup quarterback in UCF.
Oof.
They're getting no respect on the Vegas spreads. They keep winning money. If you keep betting BYU, this team's a cash cow right now.
Well, I don't know why you would. BYU, you can't bet BYU.
6-1 against the spread. BYU is this year's Washington. There is no rhyme or reason how they keep winning these games. They just consistently are winning the turnover battle. And I'll be honest, I don't think that's sustainable going forward. Eventually you get burned by that. This was the first game BYU lost the turnover battle, and it took a 75-yard, 1 minute and 6-second drive to win at the buzzer. And I'm sorry, that's just not sustainable going forward. I think they can make the Big 12 title game. Heck, I think they can win the Big 12 title. But when you get to the college football playoff and you're that 4 seed and you're likely going against either Oregon or Ohio State or Georgia, yikes.
Does BYU get in if they're 11-1 or 12-1, lost in the title game, and do they host a game in Provo for round 1?
I don't know if
that's a huge advantage.
I don't know if they host, but I think they will get into the playoff. The Big 12 is not respected at all, and rightfully so. This conference is just simply not on the same tier as these others.
Let me pose this question to you guys. If I gave you BYU and Iowa State, and I said choose one that's more likely to win round 1 of the college football playoff, who are you picking? Who is more likely to win a college football playoff game between undefeated BYU and Iowa State?
Where's the game played at? Neutral?
Neutral, sure.
I think Iowa State.
I think I go BYU, but I don't like it.
Iowa State's been legit. I mean, you look at some of the numbers for Iowa State, they're not in the top 15 in any major category, but they just find ways to win games. And you want to talk about a cakewalk? They'll be 11-0 walking into Kansas State week 12. And that's the thing with some of these teams. Like a lot of these teams with this expansion and realignment, we're not even going to really know who they are until week 12 and maybe the conference title games because the schedule is so easy. And a lot of these teams, the conferences are so big, they don't play each other. So, there's no true tests.
They're going to lose at Kansas.
Yeah, I could see that.
For no reason.
I can see that. I can see that.
I don't know. BYU might. I think BYU loses on Saturday in Orlando, but that's just me. But yeah, no. This team just keeps winning. This is gonna sound bad. Every BYU fan's gonna be like, "Oh, you idiot," and all this stuff. Yeah, I still don't believe it. I'll be honest. And I'm a BYU fan. I've watched these games,
Rational.
and winning the turnover battle is every week. It's just not a sustainable way to win football games. And eventually, when you go against a team with a better offense than your defense, you're probably cooked. I mean, Ollie Gordon ran all over this team. Anyhow, we don't have to talk about BYU much longer, but yeah, there's all these undefeated teams. Guys, Indiana's still undefeated.
Dylan, take a victory lap. Dylan, go ahead.
Indiana, if I was going to do it, but Connor, if you insist, over 5.5 wins, cash 6 weeks in, and this team, they're also kind of in the same boat where you haven't really played anybody. Nebraska was your first real test. You were supposed to play Dylan Raiola. You're supposed to be a stud. Didn't look that great, but they just took care of business against Nebraska. They are another team that's going to have their work cut out for them. I'm thinking against Ohio State in Columbus. I'm thinking hosting Michigan. That's a big game for them. I understand Michigan's not even close to the team they were last year, but that's still not an easy game. There's things here, and to be honest, I called it in the Big Ten show. I really could see Curt Cignetti and the Indiana Hoosiers upsetting Ohio State that week before Michigan. Like, look ahead spot. I don't care how bad Michigan is. It's a rivalry game. You get up for it. It would not shock me. This team has been firing on all cylinders. And if you want to give me one of these like fringe, maybe fraudish teams, which one's the best? I would say probably Indiana.
Yeah. My reason I wouldn't go Iowa State is, you mentioned it, Dylan. Who have they really beaten? They've had a cakewalk of it, and Iowa's not that good.
Yeah.
Rivalry game, sure, but like at least BYU beat Kansas State.
Iowa did lose to Michigan State, didn't they, this weekend? Or did I make that up? Didn't
No,
they just
they
lose
lost.
to Michigan State?
They lost. Aiden Childs.
I was not that good then.
Well, we talk about it all the time. A guy like Aiden Childs, looking at both sidelines at the same time, you have such an explosive.
Jesus Christ.
What? I'm just saying he has good field vision. He just has good field vision. It widens the range of possibilities. So, like, any Michigan State game, and we have Michigan State on deck, you could see Michigan State blowing them out if they hit some of those throws down the field. You also see Childs or Chili's or however you say it have 4 turnovers and they lose by 3 possessions. So, does it surprise me that Iowa lost to them? No.
They gave up 32 points to Michigan State and Aiden Childs.
And that's
I never want to hear this is an elite Iowa defense ever again the rest of the season.
He said it himself, take the overs.
He did say take the overs. And then he burned everyone on that FAU game. They didn't bring the boom.
Nope, no boom.
Last one,
Boom.
Pittsburgh frauds. I don't
Frauds.
know about it.
Frauds.
Pittsburgh fraud.
We don't have to go into that one at all. Notre Dame.
Upset watch against Navy this week.
They kind of fell to the back of my brain.
Let's respect the service academies. Navy and Army both undefeated. That's not nothing. Bryson Daly for Army's legit. I don't know. Notre Dame, they're 11.5 this weekend against Navy. I'd be a little worried.
Yeah,
that's where your taxpayer money is going now. It's to the transfer portal at all these NIL academies.
Fund.
Yeah.
NIL fund for Navy and Army.
Give me the presidential candidate that's going to use my tax money to go get players from the transfer portal for these service academies. Kamala, you want to take taxpayer money to go get Cam Ward to Navy? I'm all in. You got my vote.
You won, yeah. You won me over.
You've won the white man vote.
All right, let's talk about some games real quick. I don't necessarily want to deep dive preview into some of these because I don't think the slate is that great. Who is the number 1 team on upset watch this week for you guys?
Oh,
that's a good question.
It's a great question that I didn't prepare for.
Sorry, fellas.
I'm looking at the top 25 right now. I think BYU is the obvious answer just because the spread is only, 1.5 or 2. Makes no sense. Backup quarterback for UCF. That's one of them. I mean, other than that.
Texas against Vandy?
No, I think Texas steamrolls
Missouri in Tuscaloosa?
Nope.
I don't hate that one. And let me give you a couple reasons here. Number 1, Alabama, 115 penalty yards this weekend against Tennessee. This is not Nick Saban's Alabama anymore. And if it didn't take that number 13 guy against Vanderbilt throwing a fit on the field and throwing his mouth guard and stuff to tell you that, then the 115 penalty yards should tell you that. They're really, honestly, Missouri doesn't turn the ball over, like less than 1% turnover-worthy play rate. Missouri has the offensive line that can hold up to Bama's pass rush. I think there are opportunities here for Missouri to keep this game closer than the 14 points indicates. I just don't know if Jalen Milroe comes out and has a bad game, a game similar like he had at Tennessee, turns the ball over a couple times, Missouri drains clock. The defense for Missouri isn't that bad. I wouldn't be shocked if Bama drops another one. I wouldn't be shocked, but I don't think Missouri's that good. I just think there are a couple matchups here that Missouri can exploit, take care of the ball. I think that's a possible upset there.
So you think Missouri wins?
Yes, Missouri, they beat Bama by 3 scores. No, I think I would not be shocked if I'm just, checking my phone and I see, Missouri won 24-23.
Oh, checking your phone? You're not watching games? Oh, not a game. Oh.
Oblo weekend. We're doing pumpkins. We're doing pumpkins this weekend.
You know what? This is not a bad weekend to do it.
We say that, but
yeah, we said that during the Alabama Vandy.
We? Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
Alabama Vandy weekend. How is Indiana not on upset watch this week? Game day's there. Curtis Rourke's out. Washington, kind of a live dog in this game.
Will Rogers.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I don't hate that.
I don't hate that at all.
Yeah, I think Indiana's on upset watch for sure in this one.
The only thing that would lead me to believe that they're not on upset watch is the fact that it's at Indiana and Washington's coming all the way. That's the only thing that...
Guys, what are we talking about? Pittsburgh, -6 against Syracuse and Colin McCord.
Oh, great one.
That's a great pick.
That one's getting jotted down.
Yeah, I think 6 is too many points.
Kyle McCord, the best quarterback ranking on throws over 20 yards, by the way.
Do we like Miami?
Not doing that.
Or, sorry, not Miami. Do we like A&M over LSU at Kyle Field?
No.
Tough place to play. They're -2.5, really? No. I trust LSU more than A&M right now. A&M's passing game, really?
LSU top-tier pass rush. I don't know if A&M's line can hold up. I don't know if they can hold up against this pass rush. Also, are we getting Regman or Reed? Are we getting Connor Wegman or are we getting Reed? I've seen...
Who knows? Flip a coin.
Doesn't matter. Give me A&M.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
I want LSU here.
Not sussy for nussy?
Do you guys think sussy
That's
for
awesome.
nussy for...
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Do we think we see Arch against Vanderbilt?
The only way you put him in is injury. I think at this point in the season, the only way is if Ewers is not 100%.
When they're up 35-7 with 3 minutes left, we might see him.
Yeah,
that's true too. A couple handoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Last one is Wisconsin going to upset Penn State. Only 6.5 point spread.
I was thinking about that, and I haven't felt awesome about Penn State this year, but this one, at Wisconsin, I don't know. Now that I'm really looking at it,
I don't know.
I was about to go on a spiel, but never mind. I don't know. Maybe.
Dylan?
I would say I can't. I just think this is the most complete Penn State team we've seen in a couple years. I think James Franklin's out for blood. That Ryan Day is kind of stealing the can't win big games narrative from him. I think this is James Franklin's year.
But what if Penn State loses this game? Then that narrative is gone.
You're going to see an explosion from Penn State fans of get James Franklin out of here if we can't even beat Wisconsin and yada, yada, yada. Our season's over before we even play Ohio State and Michigan.
Yep.
But their season's not over.
I agree.
They also don't play Michigan.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right.
But if they lose to Wisconsin, the Penn State fans can throw a fit all they want. You still have your beat Ohio State, and that's really all you got to do. You're still in it.
You still control your destiny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any more storylines going into this week before we do the parlay and get out of here?
Carolina versus Virginia on the CW.
Oh, and Virginia's favored.
I love this matchup. I love this matchup because it just brings me happy memories, right, Carter?
We have to bet something in this game, Dylan.
Carolina's +5. A little different than being -17 last year.
What's the over/under?
Whatever. 59.5.
That's a little high.
I don't think it's enough.
You think it's going to be a classic ACC shootout on the CW?
I think Calandry is going to have his way. with the Carolina defense.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm a big Anthony Calandria guy.
I know. That's all I had.
All right, let's Dylan.
Top 5
rankings.
Oh, we didn't do rankings, of course. Oh my goodness, my bad. All right, Dylan, top 5 power rankings. Oh yeah. What was that face for?
No, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm debuting a new team. Not in the top 5, but
okay.
I think this is the highest I've ever done. Starting from 5, going to 1. Number 5, Texas. Number 4, Tennessee. Number 3, Georgia. Number 2, Penn State. Number 1, Oregon. And then we'll go first 5 out. Number 6, Miami. Number 7, LSU. Number 8, Iowa State. Number 9, Ohio State. Number 10, Clemson.
Wow, BYU snubbed once again.
Yeah, get out of here.
Wow. Dylan, anti-Mormon. Confirmed.
Can't have a Jewish man as your quarterback at BYU.
The one qualm I have with that.
BYU.
Tennessee above Texas. Huh.
Here's why. Can I tell you why?
I would love it.
Texas is in a very, very similar boat in my mind right now with Ohio State, to where you've had one test and you failed. Tennessee has passed a test. Texas has not passed a test. Ohio State failed a test.
That's a good way to look at it. I can see that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But also they lost to Arkansas, and Arkansas is terrible.
That's fair. That's fair. But we have seen the ceiling of Tennessee.
Yep.
Texas, their best win right now is against an unranked Michigan team.
I feel like you mentioned Clemson in your top 10. Clemson has not been talked about enough.
Well,
nobody is saying a word about them.
I'm gonna. You blew up a little balloon there. I'm gonna take a dart and I'm gonna pop it, because I thought the same thing. Everybody's sleeping on Clemson. They haven't played jack squat since that Georgia game.
NC State,
also true.
Powerhouse.
Yeah.
Wake Forest, powerhouse.
Oh, yeah. Premier North Carolina football program.
Yeah.
Wake Forest, side note, has made me absolutely rich the past 2 weeks, by the way. I might have to buy
I can't believe you're betting on Wake. I've been there.
Virginia, powerhouse. They also, it's true, they haven't really played anybody, but I still think that defense is awesome. But when it comes down to it, Cade Klubnik in a big game, do we trust him?
Nope. Never will.
But how many of these quarterbacks do you trust in a big game?
And that's a great segue to my top 5. Because I don't know. I really don't know.
Bryson Daly from Army.
I only have 3. I only have 3 that I know for sure. Once you go 4 through 5, I think okay. So number 5, I don't even want to say it.
Kyle McCord.
No, gosh, no. Get him out of here. Ew.
Hank Bachmeier.
Will Howard is number 5.
Man. Dylan gave him some flowers for throwing the ball.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll remember that. The
number
show
4. Oh, Jalen Milroe was at 2 at one point. Remember Milroe for Heisman? That was a funny campaign.
It was. It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
Should have cashed out.
Okay, 5, Will Howard. Number 4, I have Arch/Quinn Ewers still. I'm keeping him in there. Healthy, asterisks, healthy. Number 3, Dylan Gabriel. Number 2, Shedeur Sanders. Number 1, by far and away the best quarterback in the country, Cam Ward. I
have no qualms other than Will Howard.
Oh, so you think Shedeur's better than Dylan Gabriel?
Yeah.
I think he is.
Something we have not talked about yet this year is the fact that Colorado has their 2 losses. They're 5-2. I mean, that is a win for Colorado. They look a lot better than they did last year. Deion making a very strong case for Coach of the Year.
Yep, and they're still in the Big 12 title race. That's still not out of the question. We could see Mormons versus Coach Prime in the Big 12 title game in Dallas.
Lil Wayne doing a little pre-show concert?
That would make a lot of people uncomfortable.
Followed up by Imagine Dragons?
Dragons. Coldplay. Yeah. Owl City. Owl City was halftime show.
Great to an Owl City concert. Great show. Christian man.
You might just be Mormon. You might need to join the BYU bandwagon.
I would say I'm Mormon adjacent. I'm not full Mormon, but I have Christian belief. Well, I am a Christian.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
just want to say I have Christian beliefs. I am a Christian, but yeah, I'm Mormon adjacent. I love swig.
Oh, fantastic.
I went to Salt Lake City for my honeymoon.
I love swig. I'm more than adjacent. What a
Quote it.
What a qualifier.
That's the other, but talking about Colorado, man, what an impressive job by them. Shedeur Sanders, the fact that he's led this team to a 5-2 record. Yeah, the Big 12's a little weaker. Yeah, they lose to Nebraska, who's not that great, but Kansas State, they're a good opponent. This is really impressive by them.
It's kind of amazing how the narrative shifts when you just play your games and you don't talk about really dumb things during the week. Like, oh, now we're praising Colorado. Oh, maybe it's a little narrative shift. Instead of throwing your offensive line under the bus, and then we have to talk about the bad things.
It's almost like Kyrie Irving. I feel like in 2 weeks we're just due for some ridiculous comment.
Yeah.
I would love for Shedeur to come out and just say the earth is flat.
Parlay picks for college football week 9. Connor.
I'm going to Tuscaloosa, the Missouri-Alabama game. I'm taking the under 56.5. I love this play. Missouri's 64th in yards per play. They only put up 21 against Auburn, 10 versus A&M, and I don't trust Milroe. But realistically, I think Alabama smokes them. But if it's 35-10, that's still comfortably under 56.5. So give me the Missouri-Alabama under 56.5. Too many points.
56.5. Dylan, what's your play?
LSU, Texas A&M, over 53.5. Both of these teams pass a lot. Both over 70 plays a game. I love it here. I think if the ball's going to be in the air, I think Nussmeier lights it up too. I think this is a Nussmeier coming out party. Sussy for Nussy. Thank you, Connor.
There you go.
There you go. LSU A&M. Ben's pick, Navy plus 11.5 against Notre Dame. Maybe game of the week. Who knows?
Terrifying.
We'll find out.
That
is terrifying. But and then my pick, I'm going to fade them. I don't care. Give me SMU minus 11.5 against Duke.
I love that. Duke's 6-1 and they're 11-point dogs. That it's for a reason.
They've been getting outgained every game. It doesn't make sense how this Duke team keeps winning games.
Can I ask a question real quick? Kind of just popped up in my head. You're thinking about what is a good game, big game, right? You brought up the Navy, game of the week, possibly. 11.5 point spread. Where is the sweet spot for you of, it's a ranked matchup, it's big brand names, the spread's close to where you consider it a good game? What matters the most to you? Because obviously you can have New Mexico State pick 'em or whatever, but that's not a big game. So where's the sweet spot?
I mean,
like LSU
top
A&M
teams.
LSU A&M, I would say, is game of the week. 2 big names. You have a 3.5 point spread.
Yeah, I think that is the game of the week.
And I think as it gets closer to the end of the season, I think narratives have to be included as well, where it's like, oh, this team could miss, not so much this year with 12 teams, but like in years past, it's this team loses, they're out of the college football playoff or something like that.
Sure. And also storylines going into the game. Because imagine if Shedeur Sanders plays against one of Army and he's like, I hate the troops.
Oh,
and going into that game.
Wow.
I didn't say it.
No,
Let's say he said it.
Yeah. That would be electric. That
would be insane.
Yeah.
I think I would be pro that kind of statement coming out just ahead of the game.
Well,
he might die on the field.
So because you love hot, terrible takes.
Me?
I hate the troops is one of the worst takes you can have.
Carter, you trash on hot takes, but let's not forget, just a wee time ago, our logo had hot takes on it.
It did have hot takes.
Yeah, so let's not act like, Dylan, hot take guy.
Let's just say that logo's scrubbed from the internet. Let's just put that there.
Copyright. We're big name. We're a big brand.
But anyhow, all right. Anything else before we go?
Can you guys pick up the slack a little bit? Maybe we hit a college football parlay here, okay?
Oh, brother.
Just saying, last week I was the only one.
All right, I'll hit it. SMU minus 11.5.
I love
Guarantee.
Connor, I need you to say you're going to hit it.
Oh, I'm hitting this.
Nice. There we go.
I'll put this one in separately since Ben's not here to guarantee it.
Oh, there's us three.
Yeah, so I'll do both. I'll do this one, and then we both hit. And I hit a 3-legger and a 4-legger.
I'll send us out with this, Connor. Let's be careful about hitting it, okay? You're the only one that's not married.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. You are spot on. Second week in a row that's come up.
Let's go for 3. I'll do it on the NFL show.
All right, that's it from us. Make sure to follow at KarterKast on everything, at CarterBA, at Wilkerson A. Dillon, at Connor_Sparrow. Download SeatGeek. Use code KarterKast. $20 off your first purchase. Make sure to tune into the NFL shows, NBA previews out as you're listening to this. Make sure to go check them out. Eastern and Western Conference previews.
Basketball's back.
World Series, Dylan. Are we getting a World Series show?
I don't know. I'm kind of boycotting it. 2 big payroll teams. It's like, we'll see.
Is baseball rigged?
I think
because my Mets got screwed.
Some are talking about Robert Manfred, possibly the worst commissioner in professional sports. He's laid out the game plan. You just go pay the luxury tax, go buy your players. Listen, we don't need to do this right now. This isn't a baseball show, but go Dodgers.
Abolish the cap.
Abolish the cap. Real quick. Let's say last season, two of the smallest market teams in MLB make miraculous runs to the World Series. Rangers, Diamondbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody could care less. I didn't even know the games were on. I could have been watching a G League game for all I care.
Mm-hmm.
This year they were like, we can't have those ratings again. Those got to go 10x. It's the easiest conspiracy theory of all time.
Are you talking about your Mets though? Because we can't sit here and have a conversation about that all small market Mets team.
No, not at all. But the Guardians have a case. Guardians fans 100% have a case.
Yeah. The fix is
anyway.
But that's just saying they're making a path next year for the Reds. So.
Oh, the Reds.
Yep.
The team you tell me to bet on, and they stink every year.
What are we doing here? This isn't a baseball show. We have obligations, Carter. We got things to do.
Let's get out of here. Make sure to tune into the NFL and NBA shows, and we'll see y'all next time.